In just over 30 days of trading a Tradeify straight to funded account, I was able to make a little over $37,000. And in this video, I'd like to give you a breakdown on the stats behind my trading, how I was able to achieve that, as well as share some tips for success in order to receive multiple payouts from Tradeify, an awesome prop firm in the space that has been continuing to grow. With that being said, let's dive in. Now, what you are seeing here is Tradeify's built-in journaling platform. It's awesome. It's free and included in any accounts that you purchase. And it really does feel like I'm taking an in-depth look at my stats and understanding why am I succeeding as a trader or why am I failing. So as you can see, I started this account on February 26th, and the very first trade I took was a 2-contract position that lines up very similar to the traditional way that I trade the NASDAQ and the futures market. I like to use a small contract size. I like to hold for a large move, and I'm usually holding for a decent amount of time, or at least significantly longer than I hold my losers. And this first trade was no different. This was a 2-contract position where I held it for an hour and 23 minutes and was able to capture over 100 points on the NASDAQ on a long-sided position, right? Now, what I did by making around $4,300, and ultimately really what I did by making $5,700 on Monday, March 3rd, was I set myself up for the 20% consistency rule that Tradeify has on their straight to funded accounts. Remember, these straight to funded accounts have no evaluation, so I didn't have to complete any eval, like at all. All of the trades that I took directly counted towards my payout. Now, there's a trade-off, right? In order to skip the evaluation and not go through that at all, Tradeify requires a 20% consistency rule in order to request a payout. And what that meant for me is when I made 5.7K that day on Monday, March 3rd, it meant that that could not be more than 20% of my overall profits when it came time to requesting a payout. For me, the biggest focus was trading normally. I was aware that I was making more money than I was going to be able to withdraw. I did that with the intention of continuing to trade how I normally do, and knowing that if I made more, not if, but when I am called up to a live account with Tradeify, I will have a larger starting balance, right? Now, I traded through until I met the 20% consistency rule, until I met the 10 minimum trading days, and ultimately on March 12th is when I was able to take my first $3,000 withdrawal from this Tradeify account. And that was awesome. It more than covered the initial cost of the $150K account that I had purchased. And from there, I had set the tone and given myself a large buffer that I would be able to have plenty of space in case something were to go wrong on the upcoming trading weeks. However, another change that I made was realizing that I can trade significantly smaller and still receive the same size payouts and still ultimately get the same size live account balance. So now you'll see is as I started this second stretch of 10 trading days, I ultimately started to go with significantly smaller position sizes, aiming for smaller wins. Here I figured that if I could get myself about $1,000 per day, give or take 1,000, 1,500, somewhere in that range, I could just trade normally for the course of 10 days and ultimately would meet all the requirements needed for a payout. And as you can see, I was able to do that with on the 26th, I reached my next set of 10 trading days and ultimately was able to take a payout today on Tuesday, April 1st, once the payout window opened, which once again reset. And now I'm here to trade for another 10 trading days and get another $3,000 from Tradeify on this payout. So now today, I went right back to trading how I normally do, right? Looking at the stats that Tradeify has in their built-in journal here, you can see that I win about half my trades, which is very consistent with how I trade all of my other accounts. I'm a good loser. If I can win about half the time and make about 2x what I'm risking, then I am ultimately going to be a very happy camper and come out on top. And today was a perfect example of that. Today, I first took a trade with 20 micros, the equivalent of 2 NQs, and I ultimately was wrong and got stopped out very quickly within 30 seconds for a loss of $700. Now, after I got stopped out of that trade, I remained patient, I stayed calm, and I ultimately ended up taking another trade with similar risk, right, and making a net profit of around $1,700, just over double what I had lost in the first trade. Again, the math is mathing with the style that I trade. I aim to win about half the time, and I aim to make about 2x what I lose when I do win. So on this trading day, I lost $700, then I made $1,700, and it left me with a net profit of around $1,000. Now, once I continue to trade this account for another 9 now trading days and maintain my 20% consistency, I'll be able to take out another $3,000. And I'm extremely excited. I'm very happy with how this trading month went. I'm very happy with what I was able to achieve in this Tradeify account. And overall, I'm really happy with the Tradeify platform. I can't recommend it enough. They have been very straightforward. Their rules are clear. Their support is very promptly. And the gravy on top is just this journal. I mean, being able to look in and see the stats behind a trade that you take without having to go pay for a separate journaling platform is really advantageous for traders out there, right? So I'm a very happy camper. I will keep you posted with what happens to this Tradeify account, but I am excited to continue scaling it and then ultimately be called live using these profits. And I believe a maximum of 15K of them will be carried over into my live account with Tradeify once I am called live, and I can't wait. So if you're interested in checking out Tradeify, there will be a link in the description that you can use, and they are offering a discount at the moment, so make sure to check them out, and I'll see you in the next one.